looks like we're live right now, finally. Hello, everybody. I hope this will start soon. Just going to finish the posting on all the things so everyone knows. And it looks like I am. Does it sound like I am? Live. There I am. Okay. Everybody can hear me. Sorry it took a little bit to... Yes. Hey, look at the better quality. I messed with some settings. I learn things sometimes. I had an itchy ear. That was not so profesh. But I'm here. New episode of Movie Crap. I have some tick figures with me because of Fox Kids happened. We are talking... J.K. Simmons on Sesame Street. I didn't know about that, so maybe I will talk about that now. But it's going to be a cool show. Sort of not maybe like the biggest stuff in the world happened this week, but still some cool stuff to talk about, to be honest with you. Oh, there we go. Anyway, I'm glad everyone who's joined me for this. Let me just get all my stuff set up. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a cool show because I'm excited to talk about this stuff because don't really get to talk about it with normal people. So this is, I have you guys to talk to about, but I hope you like looks cool. But anyway, I haven't really watched Primal, but I am going to do a review of it, soon. So I will have seen all of Primal soon, basically. I want to have a review out this week. I'm not sure what day that's going to happen, but it is going to happen. And I'm going to have some water. Let's start off with water. Red Bull can come later. Anyway, can't talk about it with the normies. Oh, the Ryan confirmed. Oh, Vitor, there we go. See, I saw you once on here. You thought I didn't. Anyway, so fried shrimp. So anyway, we have a lot to talk about, but yes, Ryan Walterson is talking about the Straight Farm commercial with the Sesame Street characters, which I thought was pretty good, actually. Anyway, let's get to it because there's a lot. So first off, the thing with... Oh, yeah, there's a lot to talk about. This is the movie news show. I hope you are strapped in. Basically, we do movie news. Then we do questions. At the end, I'm going to talk about Genndy's Popeye as kind of my little story before that, Patreon questions, everything like that. And hopefully we'll get to everything. I don't know anything about My Little Pony or MLP, so don't expect me to know much of anything about that. Drinking water every time that you slime at Izzy comment? What? I don't get it. Okay, anyway. But yeah. I don't know anything about MLP, so I'm not going to say anything. But I do have a Red Bull here. Do you want me to... I guess I should prove it. I have it. It's right here. Here we go. And I'm ready. All right. So let's first talk about what the deal is with Disney Plus and Family Guy. Because, obviously, Fox owns Family Guy now. It's because they own all of 20th Century Fox. So, basically, here's the deal. So... Family Guy and American Dad, and I'm assuming Cleveland Show and any other, although Cleveland Show is not specifically named, and any other kind of more Adult Swim-ish, oh, cool, Disco Spider, any Adult Swim-ish kind of show is not going to go on Disney+. That is going to go to Hulu. And Disney's kind of going to have to kind of come to the realization that, or has come to the realization that they need to diversify if they're going to be such a large media company. They need to have, they can have the Star Wars and the Marvel and the Disney animated and Pixar and all that, and that can go on Disney Plus, but they're going to have to find a place for like The Handmaid's Tale, which I guess they own a part of because of the Hulu thing, and like for real they do, and also Family Guy and American Dad and Bob's Burgers. Which does that go on? King of the Hill, where does that go? But as for right now, officially Family Guy is going to be on Hulu. American Dad is going to be on Hulu. What does that say for the future of Futurama? Where does that go? Like things like that. I think this is also what will be interesting about this is where they decide to put certain things, but also that this is what Touchstone Pictures was, or Hollywood Pictures was for Disney previously, where if they wanted to make other kind of more adult stuff, they couldn't release it under the Disney banner. I think that started with the movie Splash with Tom Hanks, actually. And so this is kind of similar to that, but all your Fox Searchlight stuff, probably most your 20th Century Fox that's not family friendly is going to that, whereas other things, which we'll talk about later, like the Home Alone reboot, is going to be on Disney Plus. So they're going to kind of do a case-by-case basis. I feel like there's some that you'll be like, why? I hope King of the Hill makes it to Disney Plus. I think that would be a better place for it. Maybe you disagree with me, but I sort of think that would be good for doing that. But I also think, Family Guy is a show that does really well in syndication, so this probably is good for Hulu. I know Simpsons, though, is still going to Disney Plus. It will not be there at launch, and no one knows exactly when it will be there exactly. So it's kind of going to be interesting to see what exactly they will when that will launch. I'm assuming they will be have a big deal with that when it comes out. So yeah. All right. So next up, I'm going to talk about 4 trailers in a row. There's a ton of trailers this week. I'm actually, a couple of people are asking me about Family Guy. I'm not the hugest Family Guy fan, to be honest with you guys. But as well, but I don't know. I used to be into it when it first couple seasons. I kind of bothered me after a while. Okay, well, we have a fun fact. Fun fact. Time to break out the Red Bull. Fun fact: in Malaysia, Mighty Morphing Power Rangers was not allowed to say it's morphing time because it sounded too much like morphine time. Really? I would like to see the show where they just get high on morphine now. That's funny. All right, cheers, Nijikichu. I didn't see you before this. That's a good entrance. If you weren't here before, that's a good entrance. And good timing before I start another subject. All right. Thank you for the super chat, Nijikichu. All right. So the Jungle Cruise trailer. This is the big thing that Disney is pushing. It's obviously based on their ride. It has Emily Blunt and The Rock. It's like 2 of the most likable movie stars in the world in one movie. And obviously very based on the African Queen, the Humphrey Bogart, Katharine Hepburn classic film, which honestly, while the trailer, I was like, I should rewatch that. It's been a while. And then I went, I don't, I don't know about like this movie specifically. I don't know much about the Jungle Cruise. It looks fun. It looks fine. They're selling the likability of it more so than anything. And I think if it looks like Jumanji, The Rock. So that'll be a lot of fun for me, frankly. I think for everyone, it'll probably be a big hit. It looks super likable and enjoyable. It just didn't look like didn't catch my eye. It was like that. It looks like a reliable good time. And then I kind of like forgot about it. Like I only really watched it because I was like, oh, I'll like watch it for I'll watch it for this show, and I knew I was going to see the trailer eventually somewhere, but it just didn't really like make me too excited. It just made me go like, sure, why not? I mean, I think at least with Jumanji 2, it looks like they're at least changing the concept. And this is just like two very reliable, likable stars. Cool. The next trailer I want to talk about is Onward. This was the new Pixar trailer. It came out this week. Onward, a lot of people have said it looks like the concept of Bright. I would say yes. I guess fairy lives don't matter today, as Will Smith said in that. But with Onward, it looks promising. I think this concept works a lot better in animation and in a Pixar theme, but it doesn't look great. This obviously, again, has a great cast to it. Whoever's running casting at Disney is doing a bang-up job, I have to say. They're very much doing really well with casting there. But with Tom Holland and Chris Pratt, this looks like a winner in my mind, but I just don't think... it doesn't like, I'm more excited for the Pete Docter thing. To me, this looks cool. It is by the director of Monsters University. I am interested. I'm not like really, again, sort of not really blown away. It just looks like a very sturdy, good animated kids movie. But thank you, the night that's blue. Thank you for the super chat. Hi Jim, hello to you as well. Hello, nice to see you. Thank you for the support. But I think Onward, I just don't. It hasn't really stuck out to me. It hasn't grabbed me the same way I would have liked it to. So it just looks like a reliable, good Pixar movie. I'm sure I'll see it. I think you'll all see it. So 2 Disney films that makes me go, okay, yeah, I guess I'm cool with that. It's just not, I'm not highly anticipating it like the Pete Docter one. Next, Weathering with You, which is the trailer for the new film from the director of Your Name. This has a very much an environmental theme. Apparently it's been raining in whatever city it's in Japan. I don't want to say Tokyo because I might be wrong, but it looked promising. I don't know what entirely it's about. I thought it was about a girl who controlled the rain and then a gun was there or something and no one can know, and I'm like, what's going on right now? I just don't. Whatever. It looked really cool, and you can get away with it, and definitely this director has that. So I think it looks cool, but it does look like very much a sophomore film. Now, sorry, I'm hitting you with all these trailers in a row, but the White Snake trailer looked cool. It looks very much like a video game. I like the design of the character. I didn't love the design of the characters, but when we got into more of the action and the environments, I got really into it. That looks really cool. This was 2 films from G Kids right in a row. Sorry. And they both looked really cool. But I thought White Snake, at first I wasn't as into it, and I thought looked pretty interesting. I'm curious about that. I know maybe it's been a hit other places, I believe, but that one I'm curious about. It probably the most curious of any trailers. It was one when I saw the pictures and stuff, I was like, and then when I watched the trailer, it kind of totally changed my mind. So I think that was probably the most promising of all of them. Everyone keeps asking me, yes, this is the Tick. This is to honor the Fox Kids countdown video, which Ryan Walterson, who's in the chat, did help me with, and we did a great job. And this is the Tick. He was in the background. You should notice he moves during. Oh my god, no, the Tick is down. Whoa, and I'm falling. Okay, there we go. That's the Tick. These are Tick figures. These are genuine 90s Tick figures purchased in the 90s, in case you cared. I don't know about that. So Klaus, no, not Klaus. Yeah, no, I'm talking about Klaus. Well, we're talking about Klaus because I brought it up too early. All right, so Klaus, this is going to be on Netflix. It looks like a Santa Claus kind of origin thing. I like the design of it. It looks cool. Of the 2 big animated films from Netflix, this kind of holiday season, I guess it's the one that's not I Lost My Body. I'm still anticipating it. It looks cool. It's directed by Sergio Pablo, who also was one of the creators of Despicable Me and one of the writers of the book that Smallfoot was based on. That doesn't sound too promising, but the style and the trailer looks more promising than what I told you about his previous career. So I'm kind of hoping this turns out better, but when you watch the trailer, you kind of think it will turn out better, right? So I hope it does. Anyway, next we're okay. Rick and Morty season 4. This is going to come out on November 10th at 11:30 p.m. on Adult Swim. There's been some debate on, because they're going to do 5 episodes, and some articles have actually said 5 episodes in November, and other articles have said 5 episodes, and they think they'll just air them 1 a week for 5 weeks. I think it's probably the 5 weeks thing, but it is interesting. There seems to be that debate. The trailer looked really cool. I think everyone sort of wants Rick and Morty back. Apparently, they're just going to be these bursts of certain episodes and then a break and then a burst of a certain amount of episodes. I'm curious if the next burst kind of aligns with HBO Max, because this will clearly be on there. So I'm thinking, I think that's sort of what they're doing here. That would be my guesstimation on what to do with Rick and Morty and streaming, because I know they were a big deal for Hulu and they did really well for Hulu, and I'm sure HBO Max is thinking about that, because obviously Time Warner goes to HBO Max. I know it's not an HBO property, but I'm excited for it to come back. 5 episodes sounds cool. It sounds totally doable. Sounds like, but the wording in some places makes you think, are they going to just burn them all off in 5 nights like they did with Primal, even though Primal was like an event series? Are they going to treat, are we going to get the Summer of Steven for Rick and Morty or something? Like, are they going to do that? And there seems to be some debate if that could happen, but I don't think it will. Personally, I don't think it will. Oh, fun fact. Okay. Fun fact, John Austin, the Gomez from the original Addams Family, played the Riddler in season 2 of the 60s Batman. Austin T-Rex, I did know that, and that's interesting. I've seen some of those episodes. He was a pretty good Riddler. I liked him. I like John Astin. Sean Astin's dad, by the way. There we go. Thank you for the super chat. That was very awesome of you. See, I'll read. I like that everyone has fun facts. They kind of disperse the whole thing. So this story about the Home Alone reboot, I don't think it's gotten that many places, and I really wanted to talk about it because I think it is a cool idea. I really like it, actually. So, on the Home Alone remake, this is what I've heard is the concept. So we basically, here's what we know before we go off into the new stuff, is that the Home Alone remake, reboot, whatever it is, that's going to be on Disney Plus, is supposed to be about a kid who is in a house by himself, and these burglary people, 2 adults, are going to try to get into the house to get something that he stole from them. That's all we've known. To my understanding, that is still part of it. This is an addition to that. Apparently, they want to have 2 of the original cast in this new one, and have both Buzz play the a police officer, and the actor who plays Buzz was recently in Hustlers. He's been doing a lot of indie kind of supporting work. He was in Blue Ruin. He's actually really good. I like seeing him. He had a couple years there where he wasn't really getting that much work. I saw him on a DVD extra of Home Alone, and I felt really bad for him. And now he's like become a good actor, and he's really turned his career around. So obviously, I guess they want to bring him in here because he's a working actor right now. Then, and this is the part you're really going to like, they're going to have that Kevin McAllister has grown up and started a home security company because obviously he has, he was in Little Kid Die Hard, so of course he has the credentials to do that, and he started a home security company, and he will apparently be helping the kid with the security system, through the security system, while he's fighting off these robbers who get something back that is actually theirs, I guess. And apparently they're going to try to pay out Macaulay Culkin and get him back, because everyone said Macaulay Culkin would never do this because you'd have to pay him too much. But apparently he is actually going to, they are actually going to try to get Macaulay Culkin, and they're going to offer him, a dump truck full of money that they're going to drive it to his house. I kind of sort of think this could happen. My pitch for Home Alone, I probably, which was my friend Micah, who I used to a long time, when I started doing YouTube, I worked more with him. Him and I had this concept basically with Home Alone that what it would be is the Wet Bandits. His idea, this is such a weird idea. His idea was the Wet Bandits would be waiting in an airport, and they would be like, is he going to show? I don't know. Is he going to show? And then you would never be sure what it was. And then Kevin shows up, and the Wet Bandits and Kevin McAllister come together to rob a house with a new little kid. It is like this ultimate. I like that idea. I want Kevin to go bad, but of course, you don't want to think that would happen to a kid. So I think I think that Macaulay Culkin coming back would be tremendously cool. I think it would be really neat, and I think that's a cool concept. Like, doesn't that make you excited for the Home Alone? I did say it on the podcast. I thought I did. I acknowledge I knew it was in something. But Kevin, I think Kevin coming back would really excite people. I think people would want to check this out, and you could get the newer kids and the older kids. Chili Captain, thank you for the super chat. I will take a chug of Red Bull here. I'll do as long as the Pizza Underground makes the theme song. I agree with that. That would be awesome as well. Pizza Underground should do the theme song. Oh, I like the Red Bull because it keeps me awake after a long day. Thank you so much. Really, the super chats are keeping me alive with money, but also with Red Bull, so I can stay awake and keep this energy up. So thank you all for that. But anyway, they are trying to get more of the original cast back. I've heard of everything from the mom to the other kids. I haven't heard anything about Pete from Pete and Pete, but I think that would be cool too. But also thank you, Chili Captain, for the super chat. Thank you very much. But I think that that could be really promising. I think if Disney obviously wants Disney Plus to really hit, and they wants this to really hit. I'm curious if they can't get Macaulay if they go with like a kid from Home Alone 3 or 4 or 5 maybe. I don't know if they'll bother, but probably not. But I think they'll probably reach out to everyone except I think the dad in Home Alone died, so everyone else I think will be I think everyone else could come back potentially if Disney's willing to pay them out, and hey, they probably need that payday. They deserve it too. Apparently this is like such a little story, but I'm going to just bring it up. Apparently in a bigger piece on Will Smith, they brought up that there is a Fresh Prince spin-off in development with Will Smith's production company, Overbrook Entertainment. That is all we know. That they're planning a spin-off, I should have said spin-off of the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with Will Smith. Is there going to be is it going to spin off? Literally no one knows. All apparently in this big piece, which obviously had his permission and he signed off on, and his agent probably read because it was a definite like article, sorry I burped there, article kind of thing, that it's definitely official. But I think I'm curious what this is going to be, but I think it's definitely going to happen because it was in such an approved thing. So, or it's definitely being worked on. So now let's talk on the new Muppet, Karli, I believe I'm saying that right, on Sesame Street. Now this is, now I have to find the right thing, but this is interesting because Sesame Street always has taken on bigger social issues, and I think they're doing that with Karli. Is Karli right? I think it's Karli. They're doing that with Karli. She is... Sorry, I'm looking at my phone. It's not because I'm trying to make sure I get all this right. It is Karli. Karli. But I think she is a... her purpose on with Sesame Street is to be about she has a mom who has an opioid problem. Apparently, they just refer to it as addiction. And it kind of explains to kids whose parents are having an addiction problem what's going on in a nicer way. I'm sure that it is not explained to them normally by their parents as nicely as the show does necessarily. But I think I watched it, and it's not on Sesame Street proper, or at least not yet. It's on this YouTube channel called Sesame Street in Communities, which I got to tell you, I checked out, and it's really great. It's all kind of showing, it's in bilingual, which I also think is bilingual English and Spanish. But I really like what they're doing with it. I thought it was very nice. They do kind of oversell, I think, her character with that same thing in almost every of the videos, so that can get a little tiring. But I think it's really great because obviously a lot of kids are going through that. She's in foster care because her mother is going through rehab, and you know her mom will sometimes be in other is sometimes going to be with or is sometimes going to be in kind of what's it called, the group kind of settings, or alcohol, like anonymous kind of groups, to get over her addiction and things like that. So I think that's actually really cool. I like when Sesame Street takes on these bigger issues. I know the HBO funding helps with that, but the Sesame Street in Communities YouTube page, they do a lot more on YouTube than people realize, and that's really, I think that's really great. I would like her to come over to the show, but I know often, I think the thing with the show is when they announce like these Muppets way before, it takes forever for that episode to come out. So I think maybe this is a better way to announce her and then have her have something out there, and then eventually she'll go to the show proper. Although I haven't heard anything to the other thing there. I like that there's this debate in the chat over Cookie Monster, and Ryan's bring up that is true. Cookie Monster does like other foods. That's been addressed many times on the show, actually. Not even joking. But I like the character of Karli. I think it is a smart move. But check out Sesame Street in Communities, because it actually kind of like, I didn't cry, but I got close to how well they handled that subject. And I grew up in a city with a lot of addiction, and a lot of my friends in high school had addiction problems, and it's not fun and is very scary. And I'm glad they're taking on for kids, because I know certain of those kids grew up with it, and it is it is a major issue, and it's not an issue. It's an issue that kids are going through, and it's something that should be addressed. And I like that it's in Sesame Street in communities, although I will acknowledge that that's sort of obscure, and a lot of kids in general won't really know to find that, so that's unfortunate. Anyway, switching to something more fun. Sorry, but that's true. I really like Karli. I think it's really great. They've done a really good job with it. A super chat from Niju Kichu. Fun fact: in the '90s Spider-Man cartoon, he never threw a single punch due to censors. He was also not allowed to land on roofs with pigeons on them. Is that true? I didn't know that. That's really what the pigeons. I knew about the punch thing, but why pigeons? Is that a weird Avi Arad thing? That's a good fun fact, Niju Kichu. You're really doing good. You're doing a good job. But anyway, not to switch, but that's an interesting. The pigeons thing really has me confused. But I think Karli should be on the show proper, so it can be on PBS. It can show kids, give kids those positive messages, because to my understanding, that's why you did it, right? So like, why not, don't just have it be on a small YouTube channel, like, that no one really knows about. Like, I know it got a lot of press, but I think that should be spread further. All right, so next up is news about a Little Shop of Horrors remake, which is weird because the one from the 80s is technically a remake, because it's a Roger Corman movie that's actually spoofing horror movies, and then became a musical that everyone thought was spoofing a B movie that was stupid, and then you see the B movie, and then you're like, well, that's actually spoofing B movies. But anyway, all Little Shop of Horrors stuff is great. I actually did the Fox Kids thing, and there was even a Little Shop of Horrors cartoon show in the 90s, which is super weird to me that happened, but whatever. Anyway, so apparently one of the things that came out is Billy Porter, who recently won an Emmy, was the first African-American actor to win, or is it, African-American openly gay actor, I think, who won an Emmy. Anyway, he won an Emmy. Billy Porter's great. He will play Audrey 2, apparently, is the word on the street, the rumor. The other things about this project, and I don't do a lot of casting, but this just seemed interesting to me, so I just bring it up. Audrey, not Audrey 2, this has been a little misreported. Audrey, who is the love interest of whoever is playing the lead in this, there's some debate on that, or I don't think they're sure. Audrey will be played by Lady Gaga, is apparently who they're going out to, which to me sounds like a good choice. And then Chris Evans apparently really wants to play the dentist. It's the Steve Martin's part, which if you ever, a joke that like killed with 9-year-old Jim, it was that Steve Martin dentist bit. I was on the floor. That was hilarious. High comedy. Still really funny, but when I was 9, on the floor. But apparently looks like this Little Shop of Horrors remake thing is going to happen. I'm not totally against it, but the only thing I would really like is for more people to be familiar with the original, because it's pretty good. Roger Corman's early stuff, where he's like more satirical and a little more ironic, that and Bucket of Blood. Bucket of Blood's probably a better example, which is why Little Shop's been totally forgotten, but oh well. Do you hear the music in the background? Probably not. Anyway, so there's a Christmas Carol Apple deal, which was huge. It's going to be like $60 million just for talent. The writers and directors are getting the copyright of this thing right after 25 years, much like Tarantino's deal. These are the people who directed like Daddy's Home and Insta Family, which is insane that they got this deal. Ryan Reynolds is getting like $37 million. I think something like Will Ferrell is getting $30 million for a Christmas Carol musical that's going to be on Apple Plus. Apple is going to pay out the nose for certain people, and they even did an exclusive deal this week with Alfonso Cuaron for projects he was working on. I'm a little surprised that the Christmas Carol story is surprising, because it seems like Apple really wants to make this work, and they like paid out the nose to make sure they had a major project with major stars, and they have to pay more because a lot of these stars have back-end deals normally, and you don't have a back-end deal with streaming because there's no box office. So I think Apple's clearly really trying to make this space work, and they're going to pay for it. Alfonso Cuarón not going to Netflix is a bit shocking, since like they helped him win like Best Director and a bunch of Oscars, but clearly wanted to develop TV projects somewhere else. So he's going with Apple. Apple apparently would pay out whatever he wanted, but it is kind of interesting that like literally Roma was like last Oscar season, and now he's no longer with Netflix. It doesn't speak highly of Netflix and what's going on there that you have an A-list director who won Best Director with you no longer being there. So I don't know what's going on with Apple Plus, but nothing great, because it sounds like they're making crazy deals that don't really make any sense, and then they're like, you know, able to hire top directors, and Netflix is like, you know, what's going on over there. There's just a lot in the streaming wars that happen, but it sounds like Apple Plus is at least going to have Alfonso Cuaron stuff, and they're going to have this Christmas Carol thing, which I don't really understand. All right, next up, the How to Train Your Dragon Christmas special. It's called How to Train Your Dragon Homecoming. I don't get this, because it looks to me like it takes place after 3, and spoilers, I'm sorry, I guess it's been a while for 3, so I don't know if this is your fault or not at this point, so maybe pause it if you're watching live, or move a minute in the future. So, fair warning, I'm about to spoil the end of How to Train Your Dragon 3, because I know a lot of you guys do care about that. So, at the end of How to Train Your Dragon 3, we are to understand that the dragons went away and they're going to be missed, and they have this, like, you know, they disappeared so they won't be harmed anymore and everything like that, and they're basically like gone forever. And in this, it's the idea that they like come back at Christmas. Like, we don't really know the plot, but it's basically, you know, he has a beard, he has the kids, which you know because he like visited them occasionally when he had kids, and they left before Hiccup had kids. So it does heavily insinuate that the dragons came back. I really don't like that. I know there's a lot of money in, you know, all that. Oh, Ryan Walterson brings up it's the second How to Train Your Dragon Holiday special. Didn't know that. I just don't like what they're doing with this. I think a lot of people don't. It kind of ruins the kind of emotional ending to How to Train Your Dragon 3. I think that's unfortunate. So I'm not really into this, but I would like to know more of a plot, more info, a trailer. That would be cool. All right, so DreamWorks, and in other DreamWorks news, DreamWorks has set 2 new features and dates. One is a feature of their Spirit TV show, a spinoff of their Netflix TV show called Spirit Riding Free, which is going to come out on May 14th, 2021, because they're going to have Trolls 2 next year, I think, and maybe something else. And then after that, The Bad Guy, which is based on a novel, which is going to come out September 17th, 2021. The Bad Guy sounds a little more promising. It is interesting that Spirit went from being a movie, one of their last 2D movies, not the last one, but one of the last ones, then became a series on Netflix, which that was already weird. And then apparently that series is doing well enough to then be a movie again. I guess I don't know any kids that watch it though, but Sophie's not like aged, I guess have aged up enough to watch that show, or knows any. I don't know anyone who watches it. So I guess it's doing really well that it can get a movie. I'd be curious, like, can we get a She-Ra movie? I would be into that. Like, why are we getting Spirit? I guess because they don't own She-Ra fully. They just make the show. Or do they own it? I forget. But it's just like, whatever. It's so weird. But The Bad Guy sounds cool. I'm interested. DreamWorks, it's interesting. I don't know where exactly they're going. I don't think we know yet either. But the fact that they're doing the Spirit movie and like kind of an original thing, they're going to be interesting in the years to come. I will say that. All right, so I'll have water because no one paid me to do Red Bull. I shouldn't drink it. I should wait for the super chats. But thank you for the support. It's actually always very warranted. Look at the tick. Ryan's telling me the Spirit series is a huge hit on Netflix. I guess it is, but it's a huge hit that I've never heard anyone watch. So. All right, so let's talk about Gemini Man. 2 interesting things about it. Apparently, first off, man, this hoodie is really falling apart. Probably shouldn't have worn it on a stream. Whatever. All right, so apparently no U.S. theater will play Gemini Man the way Ang Lee intended it. The way he intended it was to be in high frame rate of 120 frames per second in 4K and 3D. You can see it in high frame rate 3D. Apparently, you could see it. I've heard 14 theaters will play it in high frame rate 3D, but not 4K. It's not playing in the exact way he intended it, which is sort of weird because why didn't we know about this before? Did Ang Lee know? Apparently James Cameron's probably not going to be happy because he wanted this to happen with Avatar 2. But I didn't get to see Gemini Man, unfortunately. I don't know if I will. It's an interesting enough concept for me. I don't really mind that it's getting bad reviews. I'm kind of curious about it. And I generally like Will Smith, so and I like the idea that he's finding his younger self, because I feel like career-wise he's always sort of fighting the fact that we all liked Men in Black, Fresh Prince, Independence Day Will Smith, and the less like newer one. Although he's not bad now, I still think he's good now. But it's interesting that apparently they were not set up, U.S. theaters, to properly show Ang Lee's full thing. Supposedly he's not interested in box office, but I'm sure he will, because I don't think anyone's going to let him do this 4K 3D nonsense again. And the other thing is the Gemini, one of the writers who's credited, apparently didn't really write, this is what people are saying, didn't really write any of Gemini Man. Basically, he came up with the pitch, the idea of it, and wrote several drafts, but he pitched it in the 90s, and like Harrison Ford was going to be involved, and Mel Gibson shot a lot of test footage, and a lot of people did. And then it changed, and he is only credited because of the WGA thing. But Niji Kichu has a fun fact. Terminator had no budget for lighting James Cameron's search for locations with mercury vapor lights to make Arnold look more metallic. That's cool. That's a good one. Good one, Niji Kichu. That's a good fun fact. Thank you for that. Thank you for the super chat. That's very appreciated. But yeah, so thank you for the support. It's very, 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 I'm very grateful for it. You guys are very nice to me. But yeah, the Gemini Man writer was pitching a lot in the 90s when people would get big money deals just for pitches, and he got one of those, and that's where Gemini Man is coming from, basically, is from this pitch. And because it is his original concept, he gets credited in the as a writer because of WGA rules, but he didn't actually write anything that's on screen. But it is his idea, so I don't like when people say he didn't actually write anything. I'm like, yeah, but like, you're the reason he's here. I mean, he's the reason this whole thing's here, so like, maybe let's be a little nicer to him. That's what I think. So this was kind of the bigger story. This is kind of a smaller story that became a bigger story, and I think it's worth discussing. First off, that so apparently a lot of studios are sending movies right to streaming. We saw that with Cloverfield Paradox. We've seen that with other films. I'm not sure which. And supposedly studios are seriously considering doing this on the regular, ones that don't already have streaming services set up. So Warner Brothers with HBO Max, Peacock with NBC Universal, which is also apparently where that Fresh Prince series many people think would go if that happens, which I should have added, and now I am. And so forth, but people like Paramount, A24, other studios, and Sony who have Crackle, but that's not a real streaming service. They have considered making more deals with Netflix or other streaming services to kind of sell off these things, because if they know something's going to bomb, like Cloverfield Paradox or Mowgli, that was another one. They know they can just get paid out and not have to deal with the financial ramifications. Now, they're not going to have a huge hit and make tons of more money, but they'll at least be okay and probably make a nice little profit. And apparently one of the things that Sony is, they have like 5 different projects they talk to Netflix about, and the only one we know about that they had that conversation about was Masters of the Universe. Now, in some ways, I think Masters of the Universe would be a cool movie, especially in a post-Aquaman age, and people seem to like ridiculousness on the screen. I think that could really work, but I think it's a smart move at the same time, because She-Ra and the Kevin Smith anime He-Man are both, that is going to be on Netflix, and that is on Netflix, and the audience is already there, so you definitely know it would do well there. And if this movie's like only so, might as well do that. But I kind of think like in a post-Aquaman world, if you had a good enough release date, I think people would see it. I have pleasant memories of seeing the Dolph Lundgren movie. I know it's not good, and watching the cartoon show when I was a kid, and having the action figures and running around with a sword and pretending I was He-Man, all that stuff. But I understand where Sony's coming from, but it'll be interesting. We'll probably see like major blockbuster kind of films, not made by Netflix or HBO Max or Disney Plus or whatever, made by these other studios that then are sold to them, and it's apparently something studios are seriously looking at, but particularly Sony and particularly Masters of the Universe. So I don't know if it'll make that March, was it 2021 date or whatever they're thinking about doing with it. I don't think it'll actually make that, to be honest. It sounds like they'll probably do Netflix, but I actually think maybe that would do. Part of me thinks it would definitely do well on Netflix, like it 100% would, but I do find it a little like lame that a studio would just go, whatever, just put it on Netflix. Don't bother with the box office. Don't bother with the prints and advertising budget and all that. That's a little lame to me, but as long as they're making these things, I'm not too upset, but I am a little upset that they're like, you guys could like try a little more, you know what I mean? Like, that's sort of lame. Okay, the other thing, I'm going to do 2 Marvel newsies, I guess. I don't know. Man, I have a lot of stuff today, I guess. So, Ed Norton said he apparently pitched to Marvel 2 serious Dark Hulk movies, and then they loved them, and he was going to do what Chris Nolan was going to do. Okay, hold on. We have a super chat from John Barton. I have not met you before, but thank you for the super chat. It's really appreciated. A bit late, but the original script by Chris Sanders for How to Train Your Dragon 2 had Hiccup's mother a villain. Yeah, look it up. Didn't know that. That's interesting. That's an interesting take. Didn't Chris Sanders leave that project? So I'm wondering if there was a argument over that. That's interesting. Thank you, John Barton. That was very nice of you. Thank you for the support and thank you for the super chat. I will have this drink of Red Bull for you. That's interesting. Everybody's super chats make me think today. That's interesting. Anyway, so yes, Ed Norton came up with 2 serious Dark Hulk movies. The second was going to be about a guy who could handle the trip, which is like whatever. I think he's just a little salty because he, didn't get to be in the Avengers and stuff. But he did say one of the things about it, he doesn't think it would have worked out and he would have asked for too much money anyway. So at least he's a little self-aware about that. The other Marvel thing is there was this big thing about Robert Downey Jr. not being pushed for Oscars for Endgame. He has said he didn't. Okay, I want to say one thing about this quote from him on the Howard Stern show. He didn't specifically say Endgame. He said, yeah, they've tried that before, and I said I wasn't interested. So I'm curious if this is why, like, Iron Man, the original Iron Man, didn't get any Oscar noms, which I thought he should have gotten at least one for Best Actor. I think maybe his best performance is the first Iron Man. I thought he could have gone for supporting for this, but doing an Oscar campaign is a lot of work. It's basically like running a political campaign, and he said he wasn't interested. And the Oscar campaigning, when the studio does that, that's because of contractual things. It's not because the studio's like, we believe in you so much. They might lie to you and tell you that bullshit, but I mean, they probably do to a certain extent, but it is mostly contractual. And so I'm sure if he was like, they're like, do you want this in your contract? And he was like, fuck no. They're like, yeah, okay, cool. Less money for us. Or more money for us, less money we're spending on this. So it was his idea, and it seems like, he's fine. He seems very like, I'm only going to do what I want kind of period of his life. And if I made as much as him, I would do that too. I don't, why wouldn't you? All right, so next up, the John Wick spinoff, The Ballerina. The ballerina scenes were barely in John Wick. Have a good night, Carter. Carter, right? I see that you're leaving. And I love you too. Thank you. The John Wick spinoff, The Ballerina, it was barely in John Wick 3 Parabellum or John Wick Parabellum or whatever you want to call it. But they're doing a spinoff of The Ballerina. They also have The Continental, which is going to be like a USA like event series. They've done that with Bourne and The Purge and probably something else I'm forgetting. But they're going to do the spinoff. That sounded like a cool idea until I heard Len Wiseman was going to do it, who I don't like. I never really was into the Underworld movies. The movies of his I've seen, like Total Recall and like the Die Hard movie. Like, he's just not that great. Like, at best, he's like a serviceable studio director, but he's not someone who I'd want directing a John Wick thing. I want someone, I want a stylist of to do a. Sorry, I'm like keep having burpins. A stylist to do a John Wick kind of film. Like, get an interesting younger director. Don't get Len Wiseman. That's just boring to me. It does also sound, because he was working on a new Die Hard, that's probably not happening. Ryan Walterson asked if I saw the Dolittle Poster. I saw it a while ago. I don't know if there's another one since then. I've not heard good things about that Dr. Dolittle thing with Robert Downey Jr., so we'll see about that. All right, so Clerks 3. I previously said that Clerks 3 was on the table. Looks like it was going to happen. We have more info, and it actually sounds kind of cool. So what will happen what will happen in Clerks 3 is Randall will have a heart attack mimicking what happened to Kevin Smith recently, and will realize his life has been for nothing. All he's had is a video store, and there's not even that because it's streaming. And don't they own the Quick Stop now? I really didn't like Clerks 2, but whatever. But apparently they will decide to basically make Clerks, and Clerks 3 apparently will still be in color like Clerks 2 was, but then the movie they're shooting will be in black and white, which is interesting. I think this is kind of a cool idea. It had... the Dolittle Poster just got released today. You know what? Let me do this Clerks thing, and then I'll Google. We'll just do live my reactions to it. But Clerks 3 sounds like a cool concept. It has me a little excited. I know there's a movie called Shooting Clerks, which probably sucks for the people who made that, because they're like, hey, what the fuck? You're making this movie? But it sounds like actually a cool way to wrap this up. I'm at least excited by it. I hope Clerks 3 gets an actual release, none of this Fandango event stuff that Kevin Smith's into. Like, that's the only reason I'm not saying Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, is because it's like too difficult to see it. I don't really like those one night things, because especially like as I'm a father, it's like hard to organize that. Like when I have multiple show times, I have way more options, and I've heard that from other people. So I hope this does get an actual release, but it's a cool concept. I will say that. I think that's an interesting concept and a way to kind of wrap it all up. And I should at one point do reviews of like the View Askew universe, because that used to mean something to me, but it's probably just going to be not liking a lot of them. All right, so Ryan Walterson brings up this Dr. Dolittle thing. I will look it up because I'm curious. I think I just saw the one that was just the logo before. Dr. Dolittle. It comes out in 2020. Let's see. Images. Was this the family tree thing? Who all's in this? All these people are in it? Kumail, Tom Holland as a dog, John Cena as a polar bear. Okay, so he's the human. All these people play. Is that really? It's called The Voyage of Dr. Dolittle. This does not seem good. Is this really it? Ew. Does this happen today? That's like not a good poster. It's like on Forbes. Oh god, you need me to turn off ad blocker? Well, then I'm not interested. This is yeah, I'm not excited for this. I'm not gonna act like I am. It's an ugly poster. It's ugly. Are they for real with this? Like Robert Downey Jr. Why is he doing Dr. Dolittle anyway? It's like not a good movie. Anyway, oh, there's a Klaus featurette. Damn, I wish I knew that before. Right now. Anyway, it just didn't. Is that? I'm trying to find if that's the. Anyway, it didn't look good. I wasn't excited for this before. I'm definitely not excited now, I guess. Sorry, Ryan. I don't know if you. Maybe Ryan was excited. Did I miss that in the super chat? Ew, Jim. Oh, because I said that. Okay, sorry. Anyway. Alright, so next up, an interesting thing from the director of Shazam, who has a YouTube channel, did a cool cartoon thing about test screenings, and how first he kind of acts like they're stupid, but then brings up they actually have a point to them. It was a cool YouTube video. If you want to see more about test screenings, I suggest checking that out. It was pretty cool. Will it be better than The Judge about Dr. Dolittle? Probably won't. Check Twitter. Oh, the family tree thing wasn't the poster released today. What, man? Check Twitter. God, is this really worth it? I want to know. Is this worth it? Is it a good poster? Is this? I mean, it's not trending, so this is not okay. We're gonna do Dolittle. All right. Well, maybe I won't go ew. Oh, it looks worse than the other thing. That's bad. It's just him in the middle. And he's like, I'll do an impression of Robert Downey Jr. He's like, I'm around a bunch of animals. Look at me. This is me. Look at all the animals. I'm Dr. Dolittle. These are my buds. No. Oh, January 17th? Wow. Oh my god. This thing's gonna bomb. This is so bad. This is really bad. This is like worse than the judge. This guy like has bad taste when it's not him being Iron Man and collecting a check. Oh my god. I'm not gonna. You want me to retweet it? You guys are like into the Dolittle. I don't get it. Is it just that I'm making fun of Dr. Dolittle? I feel like it's more of that. Alright, I'll retweet it. So everyone can. If you're watching this later, follow me on Twitter. So you can see. Oh, I'm gonna retweet. Hold on. I'm gonna go retweet with comment. Ew. I put a lot of W's. Hold on. In case you didn't get it. Ew. Gross. Retweet. There we go. Live. That was literal live tweeting. But I'm bummed. Alright. That's not F you, it's January. That's the studio going, holy shit, what did we do? That's what that poster says to me. The studio's like, we had to pay him like $30 million and that is our poster. Just like imagine you were the executive who came up with that and the gun that's in your mouth right now looking at that poster. Anyway, the next thing is X-Men. The X-Men theme song from the 90s is having a lawsuit because it sounds like a theme song from another show, like this European show or whatever. So here's the thing about this. If you read the articles, it's basically not like someone went, I finally saw the X-Men cartoon and I'm suing them. The guy who wrote the theme song that sounds like the X-Men theme song died, and then his intellectual property went to his estate, and then his estate went to this guy, and then this guy went, holy shit, I have an intellectual property that I could totally sue someone over. And that's how this happened. So if you're ever wondering, like, hey, wait, 1992 was sort of like a while ago, and it's 2019. Why are you suing now? That's basically why. Does he have a case? Yeah, they do sound a lot alike. I will agree with him there. It's just like the whole logistics of it are a little fishy. So that's the deal with that. Read up on that, because it's kind of like, oh my god. I mean, would I do that if I was that guy who had someone else's estate? It's just weird. Two things about The Irishman. One, that it is going to be playing on playing at an actual Broadway theater in New York. I might see it there because that sounds cool. I like seeing movies in like weirder places sometimes. It's called the Belasco. I've heard some people say it's never played movies before, and other people say it's played silent film. I can't seem to find an exact thing there, but it'd be cool to see a movie there. And they're going to set up like basically kind of state-of-the-art equipment, so I think that would actually be cool. Tunjay, I was going to do a thing about that at some point, and I'll talk about that later, but not this week. I almost did it this week. That's interesting, Tunjay. But yes, the Belasco Theater is going to play The Irishman. That sounds cool. Apparently they're only doing, like, they're going to basically play it like a Broadway show, but the thing's 3.5 hours long, so, I mean... yeah, I don't think you could play it that many times anyway. Ryan Walterson wants to know, are you seeing... wow, you know the release schedule very well, Ryan. Are you seeing Irishman the same day as Arctic Dogs? I don't think I'm seeing Arctic Dogs the same day as Irishman. I think Irishman, I can't do a double feature with that, but I might see that in Terminator Dark Fate. I think I'll see Irishman later. There's also apparently going to be a behind-the-scenes The Irishman podcast coming from Netflix. Apparently they do this. Didn't know that. And they did one on Stranger Things Season 3. Apparently it was a big hit, which I also didn't know. So I'm curious. Apparently they're saying those will definitely be a Scorsese interview on a podcast promoting a movie that he directed, which is interesting. I wonder how they got him. It's just like, I like that they go, there will be a Scorsese interview. I'm like, yeah, for his promotional podcast, I'm sure he'll show up. All right, so next up, we have, so there's been a lot of talk about the Joker, all of that stuff. Hotel collapsed in Ace the Wind Rider's city today? I hope you're okay. I'm going to look that up. That's interesting. Now I want to watch your stream about the collapsed hotel. So the Joker Oscar chances are in a little bit of an interesting place, because I think Joaquin Phoenix getting a Best Actor is kind of a done deal in terms of a nomination. Adam Driver is kind of his biggest competition, but obviously we're early in the campaign. But what is definitely telling and is a big deal and is worth talking about is the people at the Academy Theater when they watched the kind of big screening for Joker. There was divisiveness, and people didn't really want to see it necessarily, and people didn't want to show up because of it, and the divisiveness doesn't help your movie. For Best Picture. Best Picture is the preferential ballot thing, and it's like if it gets nominated for Best Picture, I don't think Joker had a chance to win, but it definitely won't win if that's its reception. But it sounds to me like everything beyond Joaquin probably won't get nominated if people who are actually in the Academy are a little weird about voting for it, which definitely sounds like the case here. I'm going to drink some water because I'm talking a lot and now I'm thirsty. Okay. Another thing, but yeah, I think the Joker Oscar chances aren't as solidified as people want you to believe in terms of anything that's not Best Actor, because the people who actually vote in the Academy are kind of weird about it. So, I think it being such a big hit and a talking point will kind of help it, but I don't think it's going to win very much. And if we have a lot of competitors like Richard Jewell, The Irishman, all that stuff, it could really get forgotten, because people could be like, oh, that mess, I don't know, just like vote for Joaquin or whatever. It seems to be the thing. Also, Joaquin's not won an Oscar before, which is kind of interesting. Move that a little. And then Jared Leto's mad. Whatever, man. Jared Leto's, obviously he'd be upset, but like the way he phrased it sounded like he's as melodramatic as we thought he was. The director of Triplets of Belleville and The Illusionist, Sylvain Chomet, I think, is going to be opening an animation school in France. It is going to have actually classes in English as well, because that's, according to him, the kind of standard in the animation industry everywhere he works. So if you're thinking of going to school, that's not the worst thing to look into in the world. And apparently, I've heard English-speaking kids will be accepted and so forth. So he's a master animator. It sounds like an interesting opportunity. So I would look it up if you are looking at schools. It's probably just an interesting Google search in itself, and he'd probably be a cool person to look into. Who is damaged? What are we talking about? Anyway, Jared Leto. Forgot. Anyway, so DreamWorks apparently has a very expensive book about its history, which I cannot buy, but if you get it signed by all these people, it's like $30,000 or something, but otherwise it's the cheaper one's like $15,000, which means no one's going to ever know their history, because that's like way too expensive. I find that to be frankly ridiculous. All right, a few more things, and then I will talk about Genndy's Popeye for a little bit, because yeah, but there's a lot of sorry. Why are you okay? All right, so there was a Charlie's Angels trailer. I continue to think less of this movie with every trailer. I've heard people compare it to Men in Black International, which is like not a good sign. Today is DreamWorks' 25th anniversary. Didn't know that, Ryan. That's interesting. But yeah, it just doesn't look great. That song, I watched the Todd in the Shadows video, and I didn't actually know the song was even out. So it just doesn't seem like something that's going to do great. And in the trailer, they're not selling their chemistry. They're selling them doing wacky things or something. I'm not into it. So whatever. These two stories are interesting, and then I'll talk about Popeye. I'll talk about Fox Kids, then I'll talk about Popeye. Sorry. Apparently, this is a project in development. It is with Russell Crowe and Kevin Williamson, and it actually sounds incredibly cool. They're going to team up for a horror movie. Kevin Williamson previously wrote Scream, and mostly wrote a lot of teen shows I didn't like Dawson's Creek, and also wrote Teaching Mrs. Tingle, which I'm sure totally is relevant to you kids today. But he's writing a horror movie about a troubled actor who, while he's shooting a horror movie, experiences real-life horrors in his life. That's interesting, and I think that's a good casting for Russell Crowe. I actually really like that idea. I think that's really cool, and I think it's a good way to bring Kevin Williamson back to more of a meta horror movie, which he obviously sort of made his name with, and a good way to bring Russell Crowe back. I'm noticing a lot of actors are like, oh, I could come back with a horror movie because horror fans will definitely see it. This doesn't cost too much. It would be a good vehicle for Russell Crowe. I think that's a cool idea with him. The final one, and not to bring up the Harvey Weinstein stuff, which obviously is creepy and you don't want me to, but I found this to be interesting. Ronan Farrow has a book coming out, and he has a book coming out about what happened with the Me Too scandal and the Me Too, not scandal, sorry, the Me Too revelations he brought to the surface about Harvey Weinstein and other people, and helped with other reporting to break down other people like Matt Lauer and so forth. He apparently, when he had the original Harvey Weinstein story at NBC, Harvey Weinstein knew about it and leveraged the information he had about Matt Lauer being creepy as shit. Basically, he leveraged that to make sure that NBC didn't run with the story about him, which is such a weird kind of catch-22 sort of scenario that I'm just like, I can't believe that happened when we know everything about that. That's wow. A couple of people are bringing up the Animaniacs reboot. I saw that the voice cast is definitely coming back. We don't really know much about that reboot, so that's kind of why I didn't talk about it. But the voice cast is coming back. Sorry, I should have said more about that. Okay, so I had a Fox Kids video this week. Every Fox Kids show ever. First off, I really have to do a huge thank you to Ryan Walterson, who helped me make that video. He did a great job. He actually makes sure I pronounce everything. I send him a rough cut, and he makes sure I pronounce everything. I need to do... it's hard with some of them, because I literally don't know every show. And there's one show, what was it called? And I really had I might release a cut of me, Escaflowne. It took me a really long time to get the pronunciation of that. And there's literally a clip of going, looking at the word and going like, the fuck is that? I don't, Escaflowne? Like, anyway. I think I call it Escaflowne or something. It's just like not a word you come across a lot with Escaflowne. But I wanted to talk about one of the things I want to do, because I do a lot of research. I do a lot of going through of these shows, and I kind of get a little fascinated by ones and just sort of wanted to talk about a few of them. And I have a lot of nostalgia for the Fox Kids, because it was my childhood in elementary school. It was the new hip Saturday morning block. There was a real time in Toy Galaxy, brought this up this week, where it had Muffy. Yeah, I know, Ryan. It brought up this week all of the great shows that were on. At one time, they had X-Men, Power Rangers, Animaniacs, Batman the Animated Series, Spider-Man, Eek the Cat. It was insane. Reruns of Tiny Toon Adventures. I'm sure I'm forgetting some of them. It was just, they had an insane, crazy lineup at a certain point. And I think, and they were pretty undeniable. Like, you couldn't not watch them in the early 90s. They definitely fell off at a certain point. I think it's because Kids WB happened and took away Batman Animated Series and Animaniacs. And Superman the Animated Series didn't go there. And I think, when it was like the premiere Saturday morning block, it really killed. And it killed basically NBC, ABC, and CBS. But I want to talk about one of them. With that, Power Rangers, what was it? Are you going to talk about how the Red Wild Force Power Ranger is in jail for killing his friends with a katana? I'm not going to talk about that. But that's interesting. So VR, I want to talk about how, VR Troopers, I thought was definitely going to be on this list. And I was like, why is it on here? And I looked it up. It was on my Fox Kids, but it was syndicated. So it wasn't like an official Fox Kids show. They just played it right before Fox Kids because it was a syndicated show. It was interesting to think about Seabear and Jamal, which was a cartoon show with Tone Loc, with the rapper Tone Loc, who did the Wild Thing, bump bump bump, like that song. It's just weird to me. I totally forgot about that show, and I definitely watched like probably all of it. I was a regular watcher. Toon Sylvania is interesting. I know Nathaniel Fogel keeps bringing it up. But Toon Sylvania was the first DreamWorks animated series and was executive produced by Steven Spielberg. A couple people were bringing this up in the chat, and Ryan knows this already, but I did put the wrong image for Robots in Disguise, because there are 2 shows called Transformers Robots in Disguise, and I just thought, oh, this must be it, and I didn't know there were 2 shows called Robots in Disguise. But I have an interesting fun fact about Robots in Disguise. It was literally the version that was on Fox Kids that I screwed up putting the image for, was originally going to be called Transformers Car Robots, which is like the most on-the-nose Transformers title I'd ever heard. I love that was actually was planned at one point. I didn't know. So I thought Erie, Indiana had premiered on Fox, and apparently it premiered on NBC. But when Fox played the reruns, it caused a major revival, and then they made that other Erie, Indiana show. But I didn't know that when I was a kid. I just thought, oh, they have Erie, Indiana. I'd never heard of this show before. This is so cool. And so I found that interesting. Literally didn't know that. We brought up Thundercats in the video. I remember Thunderbirds. Sorry. I brought up Thunderbirds in the video. And the thing about Thunderbirds is I remember they made a big deal, like, we're going to have Thunderbirds. And then I watched it. I was all excited. And I was like, this sucks. And I didn't like Thunderbirds. I watched like 2, and that was it. I really didn't like it. I never watched this show called Space Goofs, but it had a theme song from Iggy Pop, which I thought was interesting. Never heard of a kid show having a theme song from Iggy Pop. And then finally, I want to talk about a mini series they did called Red Planet, which I watched and really was into. I didn't know anyone else who was really into it at the time, and I kind of feel like I should review it at some point because it's kind of an obscure show. But I remember being really excited by the fact that they made this sci-fi show, and it was like this quick little mini series. I was so happy about it when I was a kid. I thought it was so neat. I was like, oh, cool. And I don't know why it hasn't really lived on. I watched a little bit of it and it seemed pretty cool, but I'll have to rewatch that at some point. It's just interesting that like you didn't have a lot of mini series going on in kids TV at the time, and it's pretty cool that they actually did that. I will have to review it sometime in the future. All right, so and Silver Surfer met Hank Hill. That's my dad was in Silver Surfer is a good show actually. It's actually a good sci-fi show. It should get a little more credit than just being that show that had the King of the Hill thing. There's not. Oh, sorry, chair. I might need to drink this Red Bull because I'm getting a little low on energy. All right. So, with Primal coming back, okay, let's start over. With Primal premiering this week, I wanted to talk about Genndy Tartakovsky's other kind of big dream project that never happened and the history of that. It was Genndy Tartakovsky's Popeye. And if you watch the video that Sony Animation put out, you got the idea that he loved Popeye since he was a little kid. It meant a lot to him. He loved doing physical humor, which you could see he really liked seeing how audiences reacted to it when he made the Hotel Transylvania films, which I both heard in interviews and in the video itself that they released, which you can still find online. And then he released this like test footage, which wasn't ever going to be in the movie if it had finished, from my understanding, of what a Popeye cartoon would look like under Sony Animation. It was beautiful. It was amazing. Every animation nerd was freaking out at the time. It was everything I wanted from a Popeye thing. And I think one of the other things about it is it's not so much that it was just Genndy's dream project. Popeye was a major cartoon of the Fleischer Studios. And Fleischer was, almost as big. It was as big as Disney when they were running until they had to end and become famous studios. But basically what happened is Sony didn't want this movie to happen. There's no other reason. When the Sony hack happened, we got a lot revealed to us about why this movie got canceled. And it seems to me, and there's one email, and it's kind of I read some of these emails before, but I wanted to read. This is from Bob Osher to Amy Pascal. Amy Pascal was not really for this movie, and I know what happened to her with the Sony hack. It was really unfair. I don't think she's the great executive people act like she is post what happened with the Sony hack. But they weren't really into her right before, and I don't think she's the greatest. But this is kind of sums up because she was emailing everyone. She emailed Phil Lord and Chris Miller, and they were like, "This is a great idea." She basically would just find executives who agreed with her opinion on this, because there's a lot of people saying this could really work, and we need to do right by Genndy because Genndy wasn't being treated very well by the studio. He was just doing Hotel Transylvania movies. He was being he was being a good company guy. He wasn't being dismissive to Adam Sandler and all those people, which is probably takes a lot of talent to do that. And he was still making, I thought the Hotel Transylvania films improved each time. And you can see, because this didn't work out, he had a certain physicality in Hotel Transylvania 3, and I think that's the best one of the 3 films, because he brought that to that film, and they gave him more creative control each time. But this is an email, and it's very telling of all that. Said, I had a conversation with Genndy yesterday where he made it clear that he is concerned that if the studio doesn't move forward with Popeye, that our commitment to animation and to him is not strong. He feels that his original ideas will never get made, which definitely has happened at this point. That's not in there. I'm just adding that, by the way, because his other projects didn't happen after that. Will never get made because of marketing concerns, which is one of the main reasons, by the way, that Amy Pascal canceled this. She actually contacted marketing people from Disney and other studios to make sure this didn't happen. This is not being crazy or anything like that. But anyway, his view is Popeye is well known and loved around the world, and his version will be modern in attitude, dialogue, comedy, and action, but the physical world should be timeless. The kids in the focus group, this is interesting, in the focus group were strong, and worrying about a general audience who rarely attend animated features is misguided. Yeah, it is, because kids were into it. They did a focus group, and I don't understand this. They will come if the movie is funny and it sticks to its DNA. When we show the test animation and online or in focus groups, we get a very positive response. He has been an amazing trooper on Hotel T2, which is what they say in this email, working through the Sandler camp's multiple notes, including to his animation choices. I think a word of support from you would be helpful. She didn't do that, and then basically he left the project, and there are other people supposed to be involved, and it's my understanding it's not happening. Genndy kind of moved on and is very kind of pragmatic about it, acting like it isn't happening, and his other project, unfortunately, Can You Imagine, didn't happen either, and we know less about what that happened. But knowing what happened with Sony, I can only imagine. I think Sony has basically wasted him, and Adult Swim seems to know what to do with Genndy Tartakovsky. I find it really upsetting. I find it really upsetting that they don't really know what to do with Genndy Tartakovsky. They should know what to do with him. He's a great what's going on? Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a weird thing. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. I hope I didn't lose anything. But basically, I think they kind of lost one of the great animated features. And when I watch it, yes, Popeye was going to be more of an animation nerd movie. Yes, Popeye was going to be more of an animation nerd movie than anyone, but the fact that they had this really talented person and they knew they weren't treating him very well, and through these emails it's very clear they all know that and know what he had to put up with and didn't kind of reward him, is upsetting. I don't know why he never went to Pixar, but it's sad to see what happened with Popeye. But I think what we learned from this is that Genndy has always been this amazing animator, and I know everyone's talking about him with Primal, but it's sad that he's had to waste so much time at Sony. And I think Popeye could have been his great animation push forward, but I think it's also because Popeye used to be at the head, the part in Popeye used to be at the forefront of animation, pushing forward and making these amazing two-reelers for the Fleischer Studio and doing things with Fleischer and making amazing parts of animation. And he has not gotten to do that since the Fleischer Studio ended. And for everyone who loves animation history, Genndy was trying to bring that back. And this would have been a huge, huge, amazing feat had he been able to do it. And unfortunately, Sony robbed animation history of that. But also robbed Genndy Tartakovsky of a great, amazing dream project. And it's a real shame because I've watched that test footage about once a year. And I kind of get bummed because I feel like the Robert Altman movie didn't get the spirit of the animated Popeye. But Genndy Tartakovsky did with this test footage, and I really wish it would have happened, but unfortunately it didn't because of Sony's short-sightedness. And this is, by the way, the same regime who made those Andrew Garfield Spider-Man films, and clearly they really didn't know what to do with it. I hope Tom Rothman and people at Sony find a way to bring it back one day, But unfortunately, this is probably one of the great animated. This is probably of our kind of generation of the 2010s, probably the great animated feature that we wish had happened. Anyway, moving on. Sorry, I just wanted to do that. Obviously, that's going to be the segment I'll cut out later and stuff like that. But I wanted to do that in here just to. I was just thinking about it. Anyway, I'm sorry if that bums everyone out. All right, so I'm going to do Patreon questions, then questions from you guys. Thank you, everyone, for being patient and nice and showing up every week. It's very appreciated. And my cat Buster just woke up from the closet. All right, so this is from Reanimated Jesus. He gave me some time to think about this, and I actually do have a good answer, I hope. I got a question about film analysis as you get older. For example, in my first viewing of Fight Club, I saw it as an affirmation of masculinity against modern society. I was like 16 when I saw it. In a recent viewing, I saw it as a satire on hyper-toxic masculinity with heavy gay subtext and felt stupid for not seeing it, LOL. Do you have a certain film where your initial analysis changed as you got older? Yeah, I would say a lot of the Kevin Smith stuff, because a lot of it that I thought was more thoughtful or funny, I don't really age as well with a lot of that stuff. I haven't seen Dogman forever, so I can't really say. But anytime I've seen like Chasing Amy, I'm like sort of embarrassed by it now. I don't think that really holds up very well. I don't think, I mean, I didn't like Boondock Saints, and that thing doesn't hold up anymore. I would say a lot of the Kevin Smith stuff was very important to me and doesn't age as well. Yeah, I would go with that. Fight Club is one that, like, I did watch a couple years ago, maybe 8 years ago, and I was surprised at how much my opinion of it had changed. And that can happen when you get older. Some of it stays the same even though you've changed with age. Others, you really have to be that age for it. And I'd say Fight Club is definitely one of those movies. Next question is from William Ellman. What are your favorite MST3K episodes? Mine would probably be San Francisco International and The Final Sacrifice. Here's a second one that's interesting. But my favorite one, Manos is, I know it's basic to say, but Manos is one. Alien from LA, Attacking the Eye Creatures. Recently, of the recent season, I would actually say Cry Wilderness is up there. But yeah, I think, did I do Joel and Mike? Yeah, I did. Mitchell is one. Laser Blast, Prince of Space, it's just too many. But those would definitely be some of them. Pod People, you're right, Austin T-Rex. I should do that. His second question is, when you were younger, did you ever make phony phone calls to an individual or business regularly? When I was in high school, me and my friends would use the payphone by a Circle K to prank call a store called Plato's Closet because the owner would fall for almost anything, no matter how ridiculous the setup, and would always freak out and yell at us. Looking back, this was a very lame, but at the time it was hilarious. I would call some people and do like voices and stuff like that, but it never went over well and was never that funny. I always kind of wanted it to be, but didn't work out. Anyway, okay. I'll answer Nathaniel Fogo's. Jim, how many Red Bulls do you often have? Before I do another final Patreon question, I probably have a bit. It's more because I need caffeine to stay awake and do stuff, but I also we have an espresso machine, so I have a lot of caffeine all the time. But I'll have a Red Bull for you. I don't know. It helps me get through this, I guess. Because you need a lot of energy to like talk all the time, basically. Anyway, so this is the final Patreon question from Sinram. Again, please check out his channel. It's an awesome channel, and he's been a good friend and supporter of mine for a long time. Any interest in the recently announced Legally Blonde sequel in which Reese will finally return to the role of Elle Woods? I'm a huge Reese fan, but these films are far from my favorite of hers. Maybe she should hire Aaron Sorkin to write it. That would help. I don't know like what the take would be, and Legally Blonde 2 I barely remember, although I really like Legally Blonde actually. I think Reese could use kind of a career revitalization, and I definitely think since that brands and all that are such a big deal, I can understand how that would happen. I'm kind of into it, but I'm more reserved because of Legally Blonde 2. So I don't know if I'm totally into that. To be honest, I probably would be like, eh. And if it was on Netflix, I might, I guess. All right. So I'm going to answer questions in the chat if you have any. But first, I'll say Ryan Walterson's fun fact, which I did know. Fun fact: the bartender with Tourette's in the first Boondock Saints is the actor who played Doc on Fraggle Rock. I did know that. Anyway, yeah. So bring on the chat questions. Please do not ask me questions on Twitter. If there is a question, did anyone? Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, feel free to ask questions and we'll do that. And then, yeah. All right. Thoughts on the Deathstroke animated CW trailer? I had not heard about that. But by the way, if there are trailers or things you don't think I'm going to talk about or you would like me to talk about, please let me know. Tweet me during the week and I will talk about them. Let's see. Major Mekazawa. Brief thoughts on the Breaking Bad movie that came out on Netflix yesterday and the show as a whole. I love this show. I think it's a really great show about the drug trade, but I haven't seen El Camino. I haven't heard great things. I don't know if I will see it, to be honest with you. Austin T-Rex question for my Canadian film class. I got an essay where I need to compare and contrast two Canadian films. Any ideas? My idea right now is Scott Pilgrim and the first Resident Evil movie. I guess those are shot in Canada. Are they technically Canadian films, sir? I don't know. I would do two Cronenbergs. Can they not be by the same director? Then I wouldn't do two Cronenbergs. I don't know what I would do necessarily. What would I do for two Canadian films? I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, see, I would think like I would do. What was that film about the animator where he's like talking? I would do two like classic animated Canadian films. I would compare those. Bob and Margaret. And maybe another suburban one. I think that would be interesting. That's what I would do, personally. If they let you do it, I guess that's if they let you do it. Ace the Wind Rider, my Flick Friday buddy. What's your favorite gag in a television or movie? Mine is the Beetlejuice gag from Community. That is a good gag. Favorite gag? Probably when Sammy Davis Jr. kisses Archie Bunker and all the family. Are you excited for Jojo Rabbit? I'm seeing it in Alamo Draft House. My first time in one of those. Congratulations, Ella Cesari. Queso is pretty good. I don't know if you're 21, but the alcoholic milkshakes are pretty good. Also, I am excited for Jojo Rabbit. I think I'm going to see it over Maleficent 2. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Zane Powers, thoughts on the Super Simpsons news, Stark Raving Dad coming back to circulation, Martin Prince not getting retired after Russie Taylor's passing, and commentaries coming to Disney Plus. I hadn't heard the commentaries to Disney Plus. I don't really like the idea of Martin Prince still being there, although they have a lot recorded, so I don't know if they completely know. I didn't know about Stark Raving Dad, but the Russie Taylor thing doesn't sit well to me. The commentaries thing I think could be cool. That would be interesting to me, frankly. What's your favorite Marx Brothers movie? I'm going to be typical and just say Duck Soup. Sorry. I think, no, Night at the Opera. Night at the Opera, actually. Forget that. Duck Soup is good, but Night at the Opera. Heeb's Boy. I don't think I've met you before, but thank you for being here. What musical artist do you think deserves their own biopic, and who would you cast to play them? I wouldn't mind a Houdini movie, to be honest, of the rap group Houdini. I think... Probably, yeah. That would be interesting. I wouldn't mind one about like the Talking Heads. You could have Adam Driver maybe play David Byrne. That doesn't work. I don't know who you'd get to play David Byrne, but you could get like an indie person. I think that would be interesting. Okay. Major Mekazawa, do you think you'll get HBO Max next year? Which streaming services will you continue to use as the competition escalates in the coming years? I do plan on getting Disney Plus, HBO Max. I'm not sure because that's a while away. I have Amazon Prime and Netflix. So, yeah. I also have Vudu, but I don't actually pay for it. I just have an account. So, I just do all the free stuff. And I've watched Crackle. I have Hulu, but I don't use it very much. Zane Powers, do you have any predictions for Oscar nominations? That would be very long, but I think Toy Story 4 will definitely probably win Best Animated Feature. I'd say The Irishman's going to get a lot. I'd say Joker's probably not going to get as much as everyone's talking about it right now. Marriage Story is the big thing right now. I'd stick on that. Disco Spider, Jim, are those tick figures in the background? Yes, they are. They're in honor of the Every Fox Kids show ever. I just thought I never show these off, and why not? There's the tick. I literally bought these all in the 90s at like a discount. The Bullet Guy, Arthur, who the wings got mistakenly thrown away a while ago, not by me. All these guys, the Screwhead guy, look at this. I've had these like for 20 years or something, but I never show them off. I thought, why not? Because we're here, you know what I mean? Anyway, yes, these are Take figures. They were cheap and I got them. I like Ace Winrider said, yes, they are. I just have him answer all the chat questions. That'd be funny. Zyth the Pest. Jim, are you planning on seeing any classic horror movies in theaters this month? There's a 65th showing of The Creature from the Black Lagoon in NYC. I would like to do, especially the 3D Creature of the Black Lagoon. I know Film Forum does. I don't think I will, unfortunately. I would like to. It's just a time thing, to be honest with you. I did see Phantom of the Opera at a church with a real church organ accompaniment, which was amazing. And I used to do that a lot, but it's hard to do that. Do I have to watch all the JoJo parts before watching Jojo Rabbit from the Nights That Blew? I don't get that, but sure. Ryan Walterson, in relation to the Fox Kids vid, what's your favorite episode of Tiny Toons, Tasmania, Batman, and Animaniacs that you remember? Wow, that's a lot of Tiny Toons. I don't remember specific episodes, but I do remember there was one where they're in a theater and Bosco came back. I have pleasant memories of that. Tasmania, I do not remember specific episodes. I do remember watching it and the characters and so forth. Batman, maybe Heart of Ice is definitely up there. God, I don't know. I have the Blu-rays. I need to rewatch all of Batman animated series. Animaniacs, I don't. Again, like I could remember specific segments and things like that, but I don't know. Favorite. Okay, Major Mekazawa. Favorite movie / TV episode commentary. Episode audio commentaries. Jack Nicholson only did one for The Passenger. I recommend that. It's not a great commentary. It's almost like he's narrating it, but it's interesting because he never did one before. I like anytime Brad Bird does a commentary. I liked Sam Raimi's commentaries on the Spider-Man movies, as well as his own, the Evil Dead movies. Sorry, I shouldn't say his own. The Incredibles DVD is just incredible. Ha ha ha. And stuff like that. I can't think of any more. Oh, there's a super chat. When's Tyler, when the next Jim and Jim Dad review? I don't know when I'll do another one, but we've talked about it and I'd like to do one sort of soon. So it's definitely something I'm trying to do. I'm not sure when the next one would be. We'll figure it out, but I definitely Doctor Strange too. I'd say that's going to happen. I know that's a ways away. I'm going to try to get it done before then. We tried to do it with the Endgame, but he wasn't into it and it didn't work out time-wise. It's hard because we live in different states, so I need to figure that out. Zane Powers, can you talk about the whole George Lucas original sequel trilogy ideas? I think it was more him getting into the metachlorian stuff and stuff. It doesn't sound very good. It just sounds like very weird sci-fi stuff. It might have been interesting, but it wasn't going to be good. I'm glad with what they did with that. I think that worked out for the better, for the entertaining quality. Although I kind of feel bad for Lucas. I hope they like make a comic or a book of his ideas. I think that would be warranted, frankly. But I know like what he wanted to do with Luke and Leia and the weird like metachlorian one that he wanted to do for the sequel. That just sounds so strange. But I hope he has it written down. I would totally read that comic, or at least tell you I was going to. Who would win in a fight, Popeye or Satama? Popeye. Sorry, you said I didn't. No problems with mispronouncing your name. But anyway, are any plans for a Primal review? Yes, I do plan on doing a Primal review. I hope to have it out next week. I do not know when, but that's my kind of way to watch it because I want to do a review of it. Also, Tyler, thank you for the super chat. Sorry. Have you seen the El Camino movie yet? No, I have not. I think I answered that already, but I thought I'd bring that up. Nostalgia Critic kind of ruined the Spielberg animated stuff for me. I'm sorry about that. We have another one. Hold on. Jim, you should review the Ip Man movie series. I can send the DVDs or they're all on Netflix. Plus, he fights Mike Tyson? Really? That's interesting. I've noticed again, is it from you, Chili Captain, who keeps bringing that up? I would like to. I've only done the Ip Man one that Wong Kar-wai did, which I don't really think counts. But that'd be interesting. That'd be cool. Thank you for the support, Chili Captain. Thank you, Tyler, as well. Have you found any forest porn recently? Please tell us excruciating detail. No, because I'm not a kid who hangs out in a forest. Those are just only kids find that stuff. I'm sorry, Zane Powers, that your super chat isn't working. Thank you for trying to support the show regardless. Well, anyway, what's your favorite color? I would say red, but I wear black a lot because I'm pale. Would you consider E.T. a Halloween movie from Zayeth the Pest? No, but I could say the argument for it. I can see it. I understand. It's definitely a fall movie. I think it kind of ends before Thanksgiving, right? Right? How about why Looney Tunes back in Action Bomb? Maybe one day, but I don't have plans right now. Is that everybody? I think. Is this Red Bull done? Let me just check before I... Alright, I think this has gone on long enough. I think we've done a pretty good job today. Thank you everyone for the support. Everyone who gave a super chat is very appreciated for all of you. Chili Captain, Niji Kichu, Tyler, and I think other people I'm forgetting, but I thought I said that. Oh, someone asked me, I will answer this. Heebs Boy, what's your cat's favorite David Lynch film? Probably Wild at Heart, but I don't know the other ones. Any non-superhero comic recommendations? 8 Ball. What's the biggest miscast you can think of? I can't think of one right now. Anyway, I'm sorry, Zane Powers. Ask me that again next week. I'll think about that one. But anyway, so this is the end of the show. I want to thank everyone for being here. Thank you for all the support as I'm growing the show. I think this was a good one. I think it was a good episode. And thank you all. Oh, Alex T-Rex, thank you for the super chat as well. Please check out the videos I made this week with the sunset time-lapse thing. If you saw that video on previous streams, I just wanted to find a home for it, like give it some music and put it out by itself because I like that footage. It was cool footage. All that. Ryan Walterson asked, since MLP has ended, have you seen any of the Hub Discovery family shows? I have not, and I've never seen MLP, so I have nothing to say on that. Then also the other things I guess I should mention is I made the Joker review. I did the not atop the fourth wall. I did the wall review of Nostalgia Critics. The people seem to like that. I've noticed I take out that segment and I cut it up and make it into a video, which I'm going to do with Popeye, obviously, and people seem to really like that. So I guess I'm going to continue to do that. The only things I'm going to say that are coming out this next coming week. Also the Fox Kids, which we've talked about a lot, but also Fox Kids. Every Fox Kids show ever, and thank you again to Ryan Walterson for helping with that. Next week there's definitely A Day Without a Mexican is finally coming out to review that. There will be the Popeye thing, and on Patreon there will be the movie review vote winners video will come out probably on Monday night, and on another Knock Force commentary on the first quickie one. That will be out on tomorrow night. So check those out. And Patreon, there's a lot of exclusive stuff. If you're not a patron already, if you're into my stuff, you check it. That's Buster's telling me it is time to go. So thank you all very much for the support. Thank you for everything. And I hope you guys have a good Saturday night. And I hope to see you guys next time. And I hope you enjoyed the show. And that's it.